That was probably the most lively parish council meeting in the history of time. And Jackie Weaver and her fellow councillors have garnered attention from thousands and thousands of people. And I'm delighted to be joined by one of those councillors now. Welcome, Councillor Susan Moore from Handforth Parish Council, who was on that amazing Zoom call. Hi, Susan.
Hello there.
Thank you so much for joining us. And Susan, we heard your voice there at the end when you really came in and you sort of called for a bit of respect. And what was going through your mind at that point?
Well, I think the only thing that was going through my mind was that we should all be following the code of conduct that we are all supposed to follow on any council, and we needed to get on with council business. And there was no place for arguments or the unpleasantness that happened beforehand. We're bound by a code of conduct, and we should stick with it.
And is this type of behaviour usual? Do you see a lot of that type of behaviour in your work as a councillor?
I have to say that was probably the most lively meeting I've ever been to. But I think that there's a very serious issue behind all of this, which has brought forward a lot of feelings, shall we say, are running very high. And it's a matter of public knowledge what that was all about. But it doesn't mean to say that you can behave in a manner that is inappropriate. And I think I'll leave the members of the public to decide exactly what they think about the conduct at that meeting.
Yes, I very diplomatically put. I mean, one of the things that really struck me. So I've worked myself in politics for the Labour Party. I mean, it did remind me of quite a lot of meetings that I had been to myself. But one of the things that I was struck by was that like a lot of the men were just laughing a lot. Like whenever like a sort of one of the women, whether it was you or Jackie, tried to bring a bit of order, there was a lot of cackling and sort of hyena like laughing. I mean, do you think this sends, I mean, what is it like being a woman in local politics? I mean, it sounds pretty tough from that Zoom call.
Well, to be honest, I never saw joining the parish council as being joining politics. I don't honestly think that there's any room for politics at this local level. We are the first tier of government, and our job is to be in touch with the people who live in whatever parish you're in, our residents, and that's most important. And politics to me don't enter into it, because we are there to represent the residents and do what is correct for the parish. And that means we should have contact with them. And that's the one good thing that's come out of this, is that it's raised the profile of the parish council, and I've been contacted by many people who want to come and join our next meeting. And long may that continue, because that's what parish councils are all about, talking to people who live in our area.
And also people think about democracy just being, in Westminster, but that is not the story. As you say, people like your good self and others and, are the backbone of local democracy. So do you think if there's a positive that comes out of this, people will be more interested in local democracy, but do you think it may encourage more people to get involved, maybe stand for office?
Well, I sincerely hope it does, because it's very important that people get involved. A lot of people complain about politics and politicians and things that happen, but you know what? Unless you get involved, you really can't influence anything. So, yes, come along, join the parish council. There's elections in 2023. It would be wonderful for some of the younger elements of the parish to get involved. I understand that many of them have jobs, and that's why parish councils tend to be older people who've got perhaps a little more time. But, it's down to us all. It's our parish, and we do with it what we want, with residents' input.
And final question to you, Susan. How are you coping with this newfound overnight fame?
Yes. Well, it is a little unexpected, shall we say, but it's nothing I can't handle.
Absolutely. Well, you know what? Behind every strong woman, Susan, is another equally strong woman who's got her back. And that was absolutely you with Jackie Weaver. So we salute you here at Times Radio. And thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. Well, let's now have a wee look at how this all came to light, because it was just a, sort of kind of parish council meeting. But let's speak to the two people who discovered it, brought it to life, and presented it to the world. I'm delighted to be joined by Janine Mason. Janine was the person behind the viral tweet of the Zoom meeting, and Shan Ali, who is a sixth form college a student who watches local meetings and stumbled across this gold, what can only be described as gold. Hello, Janine and Shan.
Hi.
Hello. Thank you so much for joining us. Now, Shan, I'll begin with you. What on earth was a young chap like yourself doing ploughing through all these local council meetings?
Well, I've always had a fond interest in politics, from back in 2010. I've always spent a lot of time in hospital because I have lots of different medical conditions. And over the past 10 years, I've sort of seen the impacts of austerity eat on the health service. And, I've slowly got more and more involved in politics. And nowadays, since last November, I've started watching random council meetings because they are utterly amazing in their own way. And, because you have from old councillors struggling to use Zoom to an interesting argument over the smallest bit of policy. Oh, 3 people called me about this set of roadworks. We've got to get this road fixed. And it's just the loveliest stuff ever, but some of the most fascinating stuff ever. And yeah, it's just really cool.
And so
sad as it
no, I think it's brilliant. And Shan, we all both of you both of you should get a sort of knighthood or something like that. You should share some sort of gong for bringing this to us. But Shan, when you stumbled across this, did you know that this was something special?
Not entirely, but perhaps. So I was just scrolling through YouTube trying to find, a good council meeting to watch from somewhere in the country. And then I found this one. So the version I first found was edited by Stephen Morgan, who created a best bits version. That's around 18 or 19 minutes from the 1.5 hour video.
1.5 hours?
Yeah. So the best bits version, had been properly edited and stuff, but the cover image had, this is a council meeting using Zoom video technology in word art, like Microsoft Word style word art. And it, you could see that it was going to be good fun when I was going to watch it.
Okay.
So I saw it and just thought that this is amazing. And so I sent it to Janine and a few other people in a group chat. And
the rest is history. So Janine Mason, welcome. So you are the person, you did the tweet and it just went crazy, didn't it? So what was that like?
Oh, it was so weird. I remember I was on the phone to my mum actually because she'd gone to get her vaccine the day that this blew up.
Oh wow.
So I was on the phone to her and I couldn't hear her because my phone was going mad. So I didn't know what was going on. I opened Twitter and it was blown up, so I just had to turn off all my Twitter notifications.
And Janine, when you first saw this, when Shan sent it to you and you watched it, did you think, yeah, this is like going to be box office?
When I first, I didn't know, like, everyone was saying it was dead funny, so I watched it because everyone in the group chat was saying it was funny. I didn't get it at first until the bit that like the 30-second clip that I'd tweeted.
And what's your favourite bit?
It's got to be the bit that I tweeted, or the bit at the end where he says, if it goes viral, it's going to be a war of words.
That is amazing. Well, listen, my huge thanks to both of you. And thank you so much for being such brilliant political geeks and nerds that you dug through all of this and panned for this comedy political gold. And we should actually say that as much as it's really funny, as we discussed with Councillor Susan Moore, it has also made us think quite appreciatively about people who work in local government. And joining me now on the line is Martin Angus. Now, Martin is a political advisor at the Local Government Association Labour Group, but is somebody who's very steeped in local government. Hi, Martin.
Hello, Ayesha. Lovely to talk to you.
Well, it's great to have you on the show. Now, as I say, you basically, your life is local government. Were you surprised when you saw this meeting, or have you seen stuff like this before?
I was quite surprised. We've just been running the Labour Local Government Conference this week. We've had 24 Zoom events of our own and 10 fringe events. So it came through quite late in the evening, and several people sent it to me, and I watched it and I thought, oh my Lord. And it's funny because you see the chaos of it. And, you know, the sort of phone woman saying, I'll ring you back, I'm on the phone.
That was Julie's iPad. I love Julie's iPad. I love Julie's.
Because Julie's iPad, she's my favourite. I want to know what she was saying. And in my head, I've got a vision of her saying, get me haddock and chips and a can of Lilt and a pickled egg on the side. I mean, that in my head is what she's saying to someone.
I love Julie. I want a night out with Julie's iPad.
Just fantastic. And then you know the phone ringing, what sounds like the loo flushing, and the man with the guitars who looks like he's in Abbey Road Studios about to record something, or you know maybe he should go on Britain's Got Talent. He could sing the standing orders and play his guitars. I mean, I'm sure Amanda and Ayesha would love that. I'm not sure about Simon would think he'd get a record deal, but we could give it a go, couldn't we? I mean, it's just so kind of. But then obviously you've got this serious side as the fact that it was men behaving badly, and there was a lot of willy waving. Can I say willy waving on the radio?
Yes, you can. I think we get the gist of that. We get the gist of it.
Yeah, I mean, it was men behaving badly, and you know, you look at it, and you look at Jackie Weaver's calm approach and just deleting them and think, wow, she's our new hero, isn't she? She's the new country's hero. She really is.
And in terms of your own experience of these meetings, and I have to say, I felt strong. I mean, lots of people are like, I've never seen anything so terrible in my life, but I have sat through a lot of Labour Party meetings, as you. They were quite tame compared to some of the Labour Party meetings. But what are the kind of things you do see in local government?
I mean, I think, I should say there's enormous people who in local government who are very, very fantastic, and they're champions for their area, and they do it because they care. They don't do it for recognition. They certainly don't do it for the money. They do it because they want to make a difference and help people. We've got about 20,000 borough and district and county councillors, Met councillors, if you like. They do receive a small allowance for their work. But then parish councils and town councils at this level, there's only about 30% of England is covered by parish and town councils. There's 10,000 councils and 100,000 councillors.
Oh, wow.
And they don't get anything. They do this in their spare time, and it probably involves several committees that they've got to go to, a meeting. So you do attract, shall we say, a certain demographic. They're never going to be that diverse. It's probably full of retired people, maybe some busybodies, to be honest. I'm sure the vast majority of them do it because they want to make their communities better places and help people.
And do you think this will have shone obviously it's gone viral because everything did slightly spiral out of control. But do you think it will make people appreciate local government a bit more? Because, as you say, they're quite forgotten about when we talk about politics. Everyone thinks that politics is just, prime minister's questions and, cabinet ministers and special advisors leaking things to the newspapers. But actually, local government is the sort of bedrock of democracy.
Yeah, I really hope so. I mean, local government's been hit hard in the last 10 years. They've had 60p out of every pound of their government grant cut. And maybe we could sell this to TV stations around the world. Well, forget the Crown, forget that malarkey. Let's sell this, let's sell every episode of this and recoup some of that money that's been cut to local government and give them the money.
Do you know what? I feel like Jackie. I do feel like Jackie Weaver is our new queen, and
She definitely is.
I reckon.
She definitely is.
I reckon the real queen should have an audience with Jackie Weaver.
Absolutely,
I
yeah,
bet they'd get
yeah.
on like an absolute house on fire. And it's so funny you say that it's like a drama because there's been loads of brilliant spoofs. One of them does all the members, and it is like Dallas. You could just imagine the credits for Dallas with all these different characters, like Brian Tolver and everybody else.
I've worked with, some Labour groups when they've perhaps not been as gelling as they should, shall we say. And I remember going to one in the northeast somewhere. I'm not going to say which Labour group it was. And we did our best with them, and we tried to bring the two factions together. And it was obvious, which side was in one faction, which side was in the other. But it coincided with their full council meeting. So we went to watch it, and it was great because we sat there in full council and we really didn't know what was going on. You had half the group voting in favour of a proposal and half the group voting against, not because they were just voting against, but just they hadn't worked out what their position was or couldn't remember. And you had the officer saying, "Are you sure, Councillor X? Is that your position?" And like, "Oh no, I got meant to vote the other way." So that was,
well, Martin, it's an absolute pleasure to have had you on, giving us a bit of the inside track into local government. Thank you to all my guests. Councillor Susan Moore, who was actually on that Zoom call, Janine Mason and Shan Ali, who were behind the whole footage going viral, and Martin Angus from the Local Government Association.